No, Ian's the only one that got framed up.
Yeah, Ian's been in hell.
perfectly.
It's like, what's it?
Spikes in hell. Spikes in pee-wee hell. Nobody heard that. That was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any logistical questions before we start?
Yes, can we have a fan in here in July?
Well, it's supposed to be AC'd up.
It feels alright.
Not on the weekends.
Are you gonna be alright? Do you want to scoop going home? Yeah. I mean, like in terms of what you can say or what you can't say.
think
I know I
you're
put a lot
alright,
of
yeah.
topics in here.
I think you're good.
Can I ask a clarification?
Yeah.
Because I took the open doors question, like what other doors has this open?
Yeah, what I was referring to was like, oh, this made me want to learn about powerlifting. This made me want to learn. Yeah.
Cool.
This made me want to start a podcast career.
I mean, yeah, I guess like
Nick, if
it
you
made
wanna
us,
see
yeah.
them, you can.
Yeah, I'm a little tight to the. Okay, better.
Oh, your posture is perfect. Yeah, because I'm gonna rip my headphones out. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Good or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you be honest? Am I frizzly?
No, it looks good.
Looks good.
Sleek.
Oh,
Sleek.
no, Miss Frizzle was a great character though. So
Yeah.
Frizzle was a bunt.
I'm getting a little tired of.
That's why
everybody
Ian liked her.
doing that for Halloween. Everybody does.
Oh,
this
everyone
for
does Frizzle.
Okay, cool.
oh, that's cool. Yeah. Sorry.
I can't wait until I pull out Voldemort and bald cap.
Oh boy.
What are you gonna do
With
for
your
your
cut off
nose?
nose, yeah.
All right.
There's like makeup for that.
Okay, well, figure it out and let me know so I can use that for Kelsey's family's party.
I'll just come in like those people who like arrive as
Oh, to Kelsey's house?
yeah like
Yeah.
people get hired to be like Disney
Yeah.
princesses and stuff. I will. You can hire
Yeah.
me before.
I'm deal. Okay, yeah, you're hired. You're good.
Do you have
Stay
to
out
be
of the
like-
corner and not say anything?
Never mind. I'm not gonna
We're gonna
say
say funny.
it. No, I was gonna make it like, I just feel like the company that you would hire Disney princesses out of now would be like, we have like a trans Disney princess, and we have like, and you'd be like, all right, never mind. I'm just, well, can I get normal Snow White? I'd be like, what is wrong
They're
with you?
like, do you want a Latino Snow White? Fat Snow White?
I'm like, can I get old Ariel from
Geriatric.
or what's the new? It's Ariel, right?
Yeah.
That's
The Little Mermaid.
yeah, Little Mermaid. Okay, we good to go?
Yeah, so I'm gonna just say like, what makes a successful gym. Today we're gonna be talking about coaching, motivating clients, right? So just kind of like say this top part.
Yeah, and you can add as much jazz and juice to that as you want, so it doesn't
Don't
sound
say
like you're
juice.
well,
Mainly
doesn't sound like you're
jazz,
depressed
though,
talking
yeah.
about it. Do you know what I mean?
Today we're going to talk about coaching, how to motivate clients, and fitness.
Do you know what I'm saying though?
Yeah, I was reading. I wasn't
Okay.
juiced up.
Okay. All right. I'm
Get
sorry.
fucking juiced up.
Yeah. All right.
Jason Giambi, go.
Good reference.
Yeah, I'll suck.
Rough.
Was
Yeah.
he a Yankee?
Yeah.
Okay, that's making sure. I hate the Yankees. Fuck the Yankees.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, the other thing, Mike, so with yours, something that I noticed is you hold the paper up here when you're
Yeah.
talking.
All right.
So if like when you're not, like definitely cool, but like for
Yeah.
real purposes, yeah.
That was just so Gavin Baden didn't see my face last time, and I was like, Jesus fucking.
I did that
I
for
know.
like a solid 90 seconds.
Yep.
All right.
Kelly watched it. He goes, "It looks like you were trying to hide the fact that you were doing steroids."
Love it.
Awesome.
Does, like, what sort of, like, background noise gets picked up? Like, if I'm fucking around with my papers when someone else is talking, like, that can all get
A
cut
little
out?
bit, yeah.
I think it was
can't- I
minor
can't
enough
cut it.
though. Yeah.
Because
Okay.
we had it on the last one. Did you guys notice
I didn't
anything?
really notice
Okay,
anything.
then
Yeah.
we're good. Because I had paper and Mike had paper, so I think we're okay.
All right.
That's like the mics. That's why I like you have to talk into the front because they
Yeah.
are pretty like
Sure.
sensitive to it.
Cool.
Great.
All right, you guys ready?
Sensitive to it is
Mhm.
my theme for today.
Yeah, sensitive to it.
I can't wait. Stacy, hot take. Ian, sensitive to it. Nick, mining for confidence. Let's go.
Mining. for
Mike
confidence.
flexing in the mirror.
How do I look? Give me your honest opinion.
All right, here we go.
Ow. Fuck. Jesus.
That
Oh
needs to be
my
that needs to be
God.
this is the end of the podcast.
Owie.
Mike
Okay, let's go.
hurting himself,
Owie.
flexing.
It's been, yeah.
It's fine. Okay.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome to Fitness Unfiltered. I'm Stacy here with Mike, Mick, and Ian. Welcome to the pod. Today we're going to be talking about motivating clients, the business of relationships, what it takes to run a micro gym, and then just kind of everything that goes into group fitness. So some hot topics today that we're going to dive into, but we'll start it off with we all do group fitness together at CrossFit Issaquah, so we train together. And let's jump into, why should someone do group fitness? We all have seen a lot in the stuff that we've done. So yeah, guys, just kind of your take on maybe your story, how you got into it, and just kind of your take.
Yeah, so I come from a endurance athletic background. Always competitive sports. I was a professional athlete for a while, so I always had the whole
Flex.
exercise, get paid to exercise thing. Also never had a real job due to said money for exercising, and then I had to get a real job, and then my wide open days to do nothing but exercise got cut. So I found CrossFit then just because I could get in, get out, get a workout. That was still that kind of filled that competitive need that I had in an hour, and it was a block from where I work type deal. So that's how I got into it.
Yeah, so I actually started working with a CrossFit coach who was doing one-on-one training, and after like a pretty crappy year rowing, my mom was like, we gotta fix you somehow. And so she found this CrossFit coach, and he was doing some one-on-ones, and she brought me there. And
Let's go, Rose.
yeah, thanks, Rose.
Yeah, nice.
That's the first positive thing you said about her.
Jeez.
Love you, Mom.
I really want the cricket thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then one day he was like, to compliment the one-on-one that we're doing, it'd be great if you hopped in a group class, and then I just kind of fell in love with it, and then after I graduated college, it just felt natural to go back to the CrossFit space, and
Yeah, I had done CrossFit for on and off for like a year when I lived in Dallas, but I traveled a lot, so it was just kind of like a drop-in thing. I couldn't be consistent with it, but I really enjoyed like the competition piece, like seeing other people in the gym that you can kind of be like, man, I want to do that. And then when I was in Issaquah, I actually just Googled CrossFit in Issaquah. And so, yeah, I went to the wrong gym though, but I was like, I'm here. I already parked and turned my car off, so I'm gonna go in.
You've come so far.
Yeah, but before that, I was working out at Gold's Gym, and I'm a pretty social person. So going into a gym where I had to kind of create my own workout that I knew was like a slappy work. It wasn't effective. And I was just solo. You put your headphones in, you don't want anybody to talk to you. And so the first group fitness class I did, I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like there's actually people doing the same thing that I can kind of have like a small conversation with. And being a social person, like it was just nice to have like kill two birds with one stone. And then, from the competitive aspect of it, which I think we'll get into later, it was just nice to like be in a class where like you could see other people working out too. If that sounds weird.
no, it doesn't.
But yeah, and I mean, I was hooked after the first time. But I'm a team sport gal too.
And
I like team
we're
sports.
exactly opposite. 100% opposite. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mean in terms of not wanting to have a conversation with people?
Oh, like coming from team sport, like
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's put the blinders on, and I still want to experience the group side of things, and I still want to have people around. I'll talk to you after, that sort of thing. But oh man, we're different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how I got into it.
Yeah, I remember that when you showed up. Yeah. Well, I mean, not in a bad way. I just remember like most people's first day, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'd never done group fitness before CrossFit, so I had nothing to compare it to really. Like, I was just one of those dudes working out at like your pretty typical mom and pop, like Globo gym style setup, machines, and like you hit chest every other day, and yeah, that was like all I really knew. And then one of my buddies was like, hey, I know this gal who's like running some workouts out of her barn in Fall City, and this is shout out to Sculptor Fitness, if they listen to this. Yeah, my buddy was doing a CrossFit thing there, and it was scary to like hear about that because at the time I hadn't been conditioning or anything, and so yeah, my brother and I went to check it out, and it was just one of those things where, and I'm sure anyone listening to this knows what I'm talking about who's done a CrossFit class. Like you leave after the first day and you're like, dude, whoa, that kicked my ass, and you have that feeling like where you're just like a zombie driving home. And I was like, yeah, hooked. I was like, well, that has to be good for me if I felt like that spent afterwards. And it felt like all of the conditioning, everything I'd avoided like my whole life. I'll play baseball because I get to chew seeds and not run. I'll do this. I'm not playing football. You know what I mean? Like, so it was like a good, doing it with other people felt more, I don't know. There was already like built-in camaraderie.
Mhm.
Me, 3 other dudes, like, so story of my life basically. And then that was just a joke about me having no girls at parties that I was at in high school and stuff.
Thanks for explaining.
Yeah, so the best jokes you have to explain. The one you do
Okay.
is, yeah.
So anyways, yeah, that's how I got into group fitness, I guess. And
So-
then from there, yeah.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but
No, it's
so
all right.
yeah, that's how like we kind of all got into it.
Yeah.
And then obviously we've stayed. I think I'm coming up on like 5 years. So like for me, the thing that kept me coming back was, well, technically there's no mirrors in a CrossFit gym, but like there are mirrors. See what I did there? There's just like other
Wow.
people in the gym, and whether or not you think that's a toxic trait, being competitive, that's a motivator for me. And
Mm.
going to a gym where I saw really impressive people doing things that I wish that I could be doing, that was really motivating for me. And that's kind of what kept me coming back, because I saw these other people that were, you know, in much better shape than me. And I was just like, dude, I think I could do that, you know? And then having like a plan and a roadmap to get there where I could just show up, somebody much smarter than me in this was just gonna like help guide me through it and be like an ally. That's why I kept coming back, and that's kind of like how I stayed with it.
I think that's a big part of it, is knowing that someone else, like a big part of the appeal to group fitness is knowing that someone else is like, well, if you trust that person is like writing your workouts for you,
Totally.
and they kind of have a plan and whatever. And I can't speak for places like Orange Theory or, you know, other like boot camp style studios like that, how their programming is, but I just know in terms of CrossFit, people are attracted to that plan and that structure and the fact that they don't have to think about it. So yeah, I could see that definitely being a reason to, but that's also not a motivator, right? Like that's like a benefit, but the motivator, like you talked about,
Yeah.
is like you're a competitive person.
When it was another, like, the program had us all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Right, so in a class, it's not like you're at a Globo gym and one person is doing this and you're doing that, and you can kind of like see maybe where you're at fitness-wise, but in a group fitness class, you're all doing the same workout, right? So you kind of have more of like a midline, right? Or just like a constant that you can kind of like, for lack of better words, compare yourself to,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel very similar to you in the not having to think thing, because I went from rowing for 10 years where like your coach is in the boat right beside you, and then you have a coxswain who's in the boat telling you what to do, so you have multiple people telling you what to do. And then I graduated college and I tried some other stuff, but immediately went back to CrossFit just because I needed someone to lead me. I needed a guide.
Yeah, so Ian, you really are the outlier there, huh? Doing an individual sport and like not having a I don't know much about cycling, but I don't think you have a coach in your ear, right? Like
No coach in your ear, but you know, I really thrive off of like, this is today's work and I need to do this work, which is, I mean, what you both are saying now, right? Like in cycling, you know, you have your online training program, same
Yeah.
place, or a weightlifting program or whatever, right? And you do that individually, but like even if I had all the information to write it myself, I'm also going to work harder if someone else is telling me what to do. And I think that that's a benefit to CrossFit versus like a Gold's Gym or whatever. Like we've talked about this before, like if we write our own gym program, we're much less likely to buy into it, to go hard, to work whatever. So when someone else is telling you to do it, it's like, why pay you for nutrition, right? Because like, oh, I could do this 100% myself, but there's also that buy-in of someone else involved. I think that's a lot of programming too.
yeah, I agree, 100%.
Yeah, so I mean, we know why we went, we know why we stayed. So after this kind of, you know, amount of time, like I think we've seen a lot of changes in ourselves, and like, if you guys just like wanna share maybe like 2 or 3 of like the biggest changes that like training in like a group fitness or CrossFit setting has kind of done for you.
You mean like our own transformation?
Yeah, just like our own transformation.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I was heavier when I was starting CrossFit. I just had kind of let myself go when I was bodybuilding. I'm gonna put that in air quotes, but I really tried to get up to a certain weight, and I was like, mass matters, and I was eating like, you know, 5,000-6,000 calories a day, and trying to put on as much muscle as I could, and then you end up putting on a lot of fat too, and so then
And it's a type of bodybuilding, I guess.
you're building something. I never really went through the cut phase of the bodybuilding. I was just collecting a lot of mass, but so losing that weight when I started CrossFit was a really like life-changing type of thing. It wasn't that I hadn't been that weight in my life before, but I think the rate at which it came off and how good I felt doing the workouts, what I was eating. But it also led me to think that like, and we'll probably talk more about this later, that was the end all be all, right? I remember because I was on the paleo diet and because I was doing CrossFit 6 times a week, like I wanted my mom to do that. I wanted my dad to, I thought that was like the only answer for everybody. So I experienced like a life-changing thing, but I was kind of skewed in the way that I viewed it because I thought that was the only answer. And I really didn't realize what was happening. So what I mean by that is I was just creating a caloric deficit and
Yeah.
really, yeah. So I was just not being a lazy ass anymore. Yeah. So that was a big life-changing thing. You know how it is losing weight. Like you lost 80 pounds. It's the same
Yeah.
sort of, yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that's really relatable because people walk into a CrossFit gym and after a month they're like, oh my God, I've lost 5 pounds and da-da-da-da. If you're going from like doing nothing or a lot less, then of course you're gonna see results, right? And that's like super appealing. But yeah, like you just said, for me, it was, yeah, I've lost 83 pounds now in, the last like 4 years. And I mean, more than the weight loss though. So yeah, it's the weight loss, but the stuff that comes along with the weight loss, like, feeling like an athlete again, like feeling like strong and I can do things. And especially for women that are aging, I think that that's a super cool feeling, is to feel like, hey, I feel better at 39 than I did at 26.
Right.
I mean, if you take anything away.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is. Like when I think back, I'm like, man, when I was 26, I never thought, no, 39 is when I'm really gonna feel good. But it is. So, along with that, it gave me, led me to nutrition, which also then led me to having a better relationship with food. Right? So eating for fuel, kind of learning how to manage the food and like eat food that's like gonna be productive for me. So just a better relationship with food. So, kind of getting into that. And then, just like the biggest thing, I think I had a really bad injury, ruptured my Achilles, and honestly, I don't know what I would have done without CrossFit and you programming for me. Because I think a lot of people that go through injuries could probably relate to feeling very lost or kind of helpless. When you have an injury, you're like, you can't do the workouts at an intensity that you've been doing before. And so you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna get fat again. And at that point, when I ruptured my Achilles, I was about 40 pounds into my weight loss and I just thought I was gonna gain it all back. But blessing in disguise made me focus on my nutrition. I was still able to do modifications and stuff in the gym. So having CrossFit and the gym during my Achilles rupture was like 100% the reason I was able to like continue to lose weight and make progress like in my fitness, even through like a pretty crappy injury. Yeah,
it was interesting some people would just say fuck it and hang up the cleats or whatever, right?
Yeah.
If they got hurt like that, I think.
Well, I think it goes back to the group fitness accountability thing too.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like I don't want people being like, where have you been? Because like even when people get injured now and I see them at the gym, I can, from experience be like, oh, I know you have an injury, but don't stop coming.
Yeah.
Like please don't stop coming. Like there's a reason and there's a purpose to come even when you have an injury. Being in the gym setting, it is a good mental health thing to get out of the house and be around people that are working out. And then also just like you can be doing stuff. Like coaches are coaches for a reason, and they have ways to continue building your muscle, continue increasing your cardio, even when it's an injury where you're non-weight bearing. So if you're injured, don't stop going to the gym. Just do modifications.
Yeah, there's always something you can do, right?
Yeah, I think my like CrossFit transformation story, I've always been like on the leaner side, so I don't have like a physical transformation that I do look way better than I ever did in college. I look back at pictures and I'm like, damn. But I think
like, damn girl.
That's what I was, yeah.
Oh.
Like, whoa, there's
Like,
weight
oh,
in those
damn.
cheeks.
Oh shit.
I was taking the Stacey Joey Bunny challenge. No, I think the greatest transformation, and this is cheesy, but it's been like between my ears, like my mental capacity to do things that aren't even fitness related, because I do hard things in the gym, has just greatly increased. And the fact that it's always been there for me when things are gray. So when my mental health is in the dumpster, when I was applying for jobs right out of college, when I, quit my first job and then didn't really know what to do, like fitness has always been there. And so it's always been reliable. And if I can do hard things at that point in my life, then I can do hard things whenever. And so I think I've just grown so much more as a person in the CrossFit space up here in my head, probably more than I ever will physically. So that's been like my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's super cool. Do you think it's because of kind of the forced discomfort that comes with doing something like CrossFit, where you're putting yourself outside of what is normal for you?
Yeah,
and
I think
builds that strength, that muscle.
Yeah, well, in CrossFit we have so many different domains, right? We have like the aerobic capacity, we have gymnastics aspects, we have Olympic lifting. There's all these different things, and so whereas I would have considered myself an endurance athlete, I every day am probably doing something that I'm pretty crap at, and that's an uncomfortable thing in itself. And just being humbled every day by like the movements, and it still happens like to this day. And that's something that I think is really good for my person, because I spent my entire life doing one stroke over and over and over.
Story of my life.
Ew.
Also, yeah, high school joke. But I wasn't even doing that in high school. Okay, so Ian, I had a question for you.
Yeah.
This is unrelated to the joke I just made.
Thank you.
Yeah. I know that you don't like talking about yourself or your like cycling career.
Sure.
But I know that you had an accident that forced you to quit or to stop cycling, right?
Yep.
So after that accident, I mean, Stacy, I'm not trying to minimize your Achilles thing, but like
No.
you fucking went through it, right? Like you might have, yeah, it's like a lucky thing that you're here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so like in that process of, okay, I was a professional cyclist, I was like top 5 in the country or the world, and if I'm butchering this, then correct me after, but what is that like when you're hurt and your, I guess, identity is kind of like taken from you and you're having to, I guess, rebuild yourself, and like you said, going back into group fitness or whatever, like do you know what I'm saying? Like, is there still days where you're like, or what was that like, like kind of recreating like who you are as an athlete, I guess.
Word, yeah. I need to lay down and answer this one here.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can answer your question while kind of going back to that first question, right? Because as Stacy and Mick were talking, I didn't really relate to what you were talking about, sorry.
With the weight loss?
Oh, because your boy went the exact opposite direction.
Oh, no, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, but I can get with both these two were talking about is like, I was cycling a lot, got really good at it. In racing, the lighter you are, similar to rowing, I assume, right? Like, the faster you go. So I'm 6'1". I was racing at like 145-ish pounds, something like that. I would not. Yeah, that face is accurate.
6.
Have you not seen the pic?
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
We'll flash it up on the screen.
It'd be great. Didn't do anything with my upper body at all because I would be extra mass. Like, I wouldn't carry grocery bags. I wouldn't like put my luggage into the overhead compartment.
Wait, did they tell you not to do that?
Yeah,
Or
I mean, it's kind of that. No, but
is that like advised among cyclists though?
I mean, there's kind of
like you don't create
unwritten rules.
Okay,
like,
got it.
nobody's
Yeah.
telling you to do that, right? But it's well, obviously that's how you put on muscle mass. So I got injured out of the sport. I was this little like 145-pound waif. Cool. I can't ride my bike anymore. What's the closest comparison is endurance running. And so I got super into running. And I was like, oh, I'll qualify for Boston Marathon. That just seems like a cool thing to do. Ran. Still was 145, 150 pounds. Weird, got hurt running when you do it a lot, when you haven't done anything your entire life, right? And at that point, I could not do a push-up, could not do a pull-up, like couldn't get myself off the ground type deal. that's when I went to CrossFit. And so that's when things started, was like our intro class was something like running, air squats, like maybe walking lunges or something like that, and push-ups. I was like, well, I am absolutely the best person in this class for those first 4 movements, but I will be the last person to finish this entire workout, right? And so to answer kind of the foundational changes part first, like what this style of exercise has, I can do a push-up now, which is pretty cool, right? But it's opened up like so many other options of what exercise is, what, like, I wouldn't go on a hike, I wouldn't like carry grocery bags like I mentioned, right? And so all that sort of thing is now, it's like opening up, it has opened up my world of like, oh, swimming and running and box jumps and jump roping and gymnastics, Olympic lifting, all this stuff I would not have tried, right? And so it's like introducing me to so many other things. And I think then to get back to your general point of your question is like, you have an entire identity here that obviously that's still a huge part of who I am today, is what happened in the last decade of my life, which I think has definitely shaped how I exist when I show up to a 345 class, or how I exist when it's like, I hit my macros perfectly every day. Like that sort of thing, and that's from my old life, right? So you have to kind of, that's always going to be a part of who I am. Like your bodybuilding side is always going to be a part of who you are, you know? And so I think that that doesn't ever go away, but it's pretty fun to like eat food and like have
but like there
and
has
like there's a lot of benefits, right? And so I'm no longer 150 pounds. I can do push-ups and pull-ups and stuff, but also like if someone wants to go on a walk or something, I'll do that, because I wouldn't when I was racing. So
interesting. So it's almost been a transformation in the other way. You know, you talk about, like, I think most times people think about weight loss transformation, like that's like the buzzword,
I'm
right?
205 pounds now, if anyone's curious.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking, you're ready to roll.
145, you're 6'1".
That means that Ian's lightest and my heaviest, that we were 100 pounds apart.
Whoa. That's crazy to think about.
Wrapping around that.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll
You ever put on a 100-pound vest? I haven't.
No.
Yep, I don't know if they make them.
I don't know if they make them either.
Saying, like, that'd be cool though.
I think I've probably given a 100-pound person a piggyback ride.
That's a good point.
Before.
Keep us out of your bedroom, Ian.
All right, so,
Moving on.
well, you know, nice segue. So, we've all done CrossFit for a couple years, yada, yada. But then that kind of leads to other things. I think some of us, you know, like to just continue going to the classes and being a member, and we love it, and it's just part of our daily routine. But then others, like, find something else, right? They start coaching, they start doing a podcast, what have you. Everybody hated that.
Do we have
aware.
a boo track? Yeah, boo.
I'm aware. So maybe just talk about some of the things that you guys have come from being in group fitness classes that you're doing now. I hate all of you.
Oh, like what doors have opened up?
Yeah.
Type of thing?
Yeah.
It's like it started from the bottom.
Now we're here.
Yeah, I mean, how many more times can I say,
Well, yeah, I mean,
I-
Mike owns the gym, so I
Well,
think that's an
not
important
like-
distinction for.
Well, yeah, you can talk
Yeah.
about like going from like,
Yeah, sure,
coach
but
to
you mean
owner.
more like what other interests did it spark, like blah 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 stuff like that, like
Yeah.
what starting group fitness? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if. Yeah, I think we owe a lot to CrossFit, or maybe just group fitness in general, like the swell and popularity that it's gained in the past like 10, 15 years. It did like shine a lot of light on all these other aspects of strength and conditioning that have always existed, but I don't think they were as popular. So for me, I did get really interested in powerlifting after I started CrossFit, and I went through phases where I was really interested in gymnastics. I really wanted to learn about all of it, but maybe that's more just about me. I started coaching pretty early on in my CrossFit career, I'll say. So I think, but it never felt forced, like I had to learn that stuff. I really was just interested, and I wanted to learn more about it. So yeah, I did spend time where I was a little more focused in each one of those things, and almost to the point where I was like, not MFing group fitness or CrossFit, but I would like go into like I still loved what it represented, and I knew that I was only interested in said powerlifting because of my experience in a group CrossFit class. But at the time I was powerlifting, which was like when I was 23, 24. I'd been doing CrossFit for 2 years. I remember thinking, yeah, I would never go back to that. But now, 8 years later, I love like going into class and just like working out with people. So it's like Ian said, you just kind of always go back to where it started, and that's always gonna be a part of me. Group fitness, just like my bodybuilding, I'll say background will always be a part. Just like his cycling and mixed rowing, and you know your what?
I was waiting to see what you're gonna say.
I was gonna say your JUCO basketball career will always be a part of you.
Let's go.
Shout out Green River Community College.
Dennis Rodman of the GRCC Gators.
It's a
Which
lot of
color
credit.
hair were you rocking then?
Regular?
Oh, regular Rodman.
hair.
Nice.
Such cool hair. All right.
Anyways, yeah, you guys.
Yeah, so similar to you, I have gone through some like phases, I guess, where I really fell in love with Olympic lifting. Like snatching is one of my favorite things to do. I still.
Hey, let her snatch. All right, chill.
I love
Yeah.
your, never mind.
No! Oh my god. Okay. Yeah.
You're snatching.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like Olympic lifting,
Just
right?
I do
this
like
really
Olympic-
quickly and
Yeah.
then bring it back
Yeah.
up.
I do like Olympic lifting, and I think like for a while I went down that path. And then more recently, since I became a school counselor, I have really loved passing on my knowledge now to, like, we have a weightlifting class at school, and I love either the students who are already kind of knowledgeable about weightlifting. I love dialing in like the stuff that they know, but then I also really enjoy the kids who know absolutely nothing and that's their first exposure to weightlifting. That's like a really fun experience for me to like walk into one of those classes and help out the teachers doing that. So I think now I'm kind of, I don't want to say like focused on the youths because that's creepy, but that is something where like my CrossFit experience has kind of opened that door where I'm able to bring that perspective into that class.
Yeah, that's dope.
E, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously coaching is something that came out of CrossFit
Oh,
in
yeah.
general, right? I was just getting into coaching, and like I really enjoy the process of getting better in things, and so like with kind of other interests, like you're talking about snatching and all that sort of thing, but to me it's like, yo, if I can get better at toe to bar, if I can get better at deadlifts or whatever it is, like I respond really well to that. And so I think it's less so about the specificity of one thing
Yeah.
or like starting something new because of, but it's more the like self-betterment and improvement of like picking something and getting better at it and slowly getting like progress in that world.
Right.
Yeah, I think mine actually is a little bit different. I mean, like, while I agree with you guys on a lot of the technical stuff, and I'm a high school teacher, so I definitely get what you're saying too. One of the like things that I didn't really think was going to come out of this is just by going through this whole process and kind of like focusing on like my health and like wellness, like other people noticed and have actually like, you know, either like your friends or your family, you know, just kind of reaching out and it kind of piquing their interest, which I think is really cool. Like people in my friend group or my family that have really had like no real interest in like nutrition or, you know, fitness in general have now, you know, come to me and said like, oh, like just little things, right? Like, what should I do with this? What should I do with that?
Mm-hmm.
And just being able to give like a little bit of advice, it's just really cool to like have people come to you and say like, oh, I saw that you did this. Like what kind of advice would you give to me? Like I just want to like get my food a little bit better. What's like the first thing I should do? Or, you know, do you think that I would like a CrossFit class? You know, like bringing my cousin to a CrossFit class. Like, I mean, he really
Yeah.
liked it. So just like having a little bit more of like an influence on the people in my life, or, you know, honestly, like mentally, like CrossFit too, like I cut certain things out of my life and kind of found a way to put up more or have more boundaries, which led to like a healthier lifestyle and looking and feeling better. And that's been something that like you know, people in my peer group were like, I really wanna do that at some point, like, you know, and so that's really cool for me to hear, so I think that's something that
So
I
that-
took away.
It like piqued your interest in helping others.
Yeah.
Like, that was like
Yep,
a door
for
that
sure.
opened. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And I think that's, you know, that's kind of why we all do, you know,
Yeah.
wanna get into coaching is, I mean, that has to be the motivator if you wanna be a coach. It can't be ego or anything like that. It has to be that like you genuinely wanna help people. Well,
Yeah, I agree.
A good coach.
Yeah.
a good coach, yeah. So, yeah, that was kind of my reason getting into it. And so, Mike, you've been a coach, and that kind of transitioned into being an owner for you.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, how do you go from member, coach, owner?
Yeah, I guess it just seemed like the natural progression at the time. Like, I'd coached for, I mean, shit, like 4 years. I started coaching in 2012, and I coached until, 2017. So 5 years. And then, you're just kind of at a certain point, I think you just tell yourself that this is the next step, and it feels natural. And there was never any, like, when I started coaching in 2012, I didn't have this internal dialogue like, I gotta own a gym. Like, I can't wait to, like, you know, steal all these members and like whatever. And I know some people might think that's how that internal dialogue went, but I don't think that every coach wants to be an owner. I really don't think that. I think that a lot of coaches in the group fitness industry in general, if you're not a full-time coach, you usually, I mean, obviously you're part-time or a little bit less than that, and you have another job. And the reality is that the fitness industry like doesn't pay coaches enough to make that their full-time job. And a lot of times like their passion could be coaching, and they do another job because it provides them benefits and enough money to live the lifestyle they want, and they still coach on the side. For me, I never had another job. Like I was a cart boy at like a golf course in the area, and then I went right into personal training. Shout out to, I don't know if I can say the golf course. Aldera, whatever, fuck
I
it.
was just gonna
Yeah,
say.
why can I not?
So that's a lawsuit right
Yeah,
now.
totally. If they sue me, I mean, well, they're not gonna get much. I don't know. So anyways, for me, it was kind of like, the no-brainer move was to find a way to make that my career, and knowing what I know about like how hard it is to make it as a career as a coach in someone else's business, that was kind of the, I hate using the term entrepreneurial because I feel like it's just or overused now, and a lot of people use it to describe themselves, but I guess that was the route I took. I was like, fuck, let's do it, man. Like, I know enough to do X, Y, and Z. And honestly, I think deep down, I really just needed it to be, I had an idea of how I wanted it to go. And I had really supportive people in my circle, and it just kind of fell into place. And that's how I became an owner, went from coach to owner. After 5 years, you're like, all right, let's do it, you know?
Yeah, so like you become an owner.
Mm.
What do you think actually makes like a good gym? Like the structure, a makeup. When you start a gym, like what are some things that you like envision your gym having?
Well, the first thing is coaches that you trust. You know, like I trust you guys and trust and believe in. That's key. Like, you know, sure, I could like coach all the classes myself, and I've seen gyms run like that where the owner is so egotistical that they really don't want or trust anyone else to be in that like spotlight. But having coaches that you like truly see a lot of potential and you want them to shine, that's the first part, I think, you know. But yeah, what makes up a good gym? There's a lot of things. Like, you know, I'll have you guys weigh in on that. You're coaches, you see this stuff, you know, just as much as I do now, if not more. Like, you coach more than I do now. That felt really weird to say that.
But liberating?
I guess so, kind of. I don't want to overuse the term community, but there is like a palpable thing, like when you walk into a gym, like you're either like, this works or this doesn't. I feel fortunate that the first gym we opened in 2018, it has a vibe and a feel that I walk into now, and I'm still like, this just works. Like, whether it's the paint on the walls or the size of the building or like the way the building's structured and the layout and the format, it just kind of, it's a thing. And if you've ever traveled to other gyms, you know what I'm talking about. You either walk in and you're like, ugh, or you're like, yeah, all right, this is dope. I don't know. There's obviously a lot that goes into that, but
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak to that. Like, that's why I stayed, right? Like, I have traveled to a lot of gyms, and I have dropped in places and done all that stuff. And like, this location has that feeling, right? But kind of what I was thinking about with this question is, I think there's kind of three, in my mind, components that make a gym successful. And truthfully, the thing I'd put at the top is transparency towards the people that are going there. Because you brought up egotistical. Like, I think it's really important for the members of the gym to know the why, to know the hows, to know like, yo, how is this person working for me to help me reach my goals, how to get better. And I think that, you know, whether that's here's why we're doing this programming this way, or taking the time to be like, hey, this is actually why a good morning is going to feel different than a barbell RDL. Here's how you're loading a stretch muscle, right? So you're giving that time into explaining that for the whole gym. So I think that that's one. Honestly, I think it's maybe the simplest one, but just scheduling and flexibility behind when classes are.
yeah.
And fitting, like, we have at the location you're talking about a random middle of the morning 10 a.m. class.
Yep.
Which is inconvenient to get a coach there. It's not bookended by any other classes, but it's full every day, right? Because that's a class that the community of our members needs, right? And so I think that's super important. If you have gyms that are like, yeah, we only do
Yeah.
3:45, 5:30, and 7 p.m. Cool, but that's for you, not for your community.
Right, I've seen that. It like pisses
Totally.
people off.
It's
You know what I'm
terrible.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my last thing that I think we'll probably talk about a little bit, or I'll plan on talking about a little bit more later, but I think that getting the buy-in from the coaches is a sign of a super important, or like of a successful gym. It's
Yeah.
like, I went to a gym in Seattle where like none of the coaches worked out with class ever, and none of the coaches, like, they all did their own stuff, and they, you know, like, they're jacked or whatever, they were good in the open, but like they weren't doing the class programming, they weren't like sweating alongside me at 3:45 or anything like that. And so to me, as a former member turned coach, that's something that's really cool about what a good gym has. Is like, oh yeah, the coach, they know more than me, but they're also doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I can see how they're handling this workout, I can see all that. And so to me, I think that those three things kind of hold it all together from like business, people,
Yeah.
coaching side.
That's huge. Yeah.
I have things to add on to like both of your points, because I think something that I was thinking about when we posed this question is like the effectiveness and the programming. So what you're saying about coaches doing workouts, like the coaches, if they're not doing the workout, then they don't trust the vision and the programming and the effectiveness of what's going on in that gym. So I think that kind of goes along with it. Like, is your gym making an impact? So much so that every single person in there, including coaches, are on board. And that's really important. And then, Mike, to your point, I don't think just coaches. I want to add, like, I put leadership, because I think good ownership and having a really solid vision coming from the top is super important. Because I've been to gyms where you can just tell where you're like, oh, well, these coaches are really cool. I love their vibe. They lead a great class, but there's something off with like the organization, or you can just tell that like you're watching everybody kind of interact and there's a tension. You're like, oh, and eventually that trickles down into the community, which I know we said it's kind of like an overused word for what makes a good gym. I think community is a byproduct of both of those things, right? Like if you have a kick-ass coaching crew, you have good leadership, you have transparency, then you're gonna attract people, the right kind of people for your gym.
Right.
And like if you have a really solid staff, then they're gonna allow what your gym is looking for, and they're gonna put boundaries up for what it's not, and that's what creates the best vibe.
Yeah, that's huge. I do agree with that. Shout out to Nick and Stacia, obviously.
seriously.
I was
Leadership.
thinking while
The
that,
trio.
while you're talking about that, I was like, yeah,
Holy
you know,
Trinity.
our owner responds to my text messages in about 4 seconds, every single one.
Yeah.
no
But it's
matter
just
what.
a
Like,
thumbs up.
Yeah, but it's like acknowledgement, it's there. It's like, yo, give me that double tap on the watch. and
Oh,
it's
just
all
on the
good.
watch though.
Yeah. it's
Okay.
all-
It's whatever, it's
So,
good. Oh my god. I'm just gonna weigh in on a real quick thing here. I definitely I'm gonna circle around. So Mick, you talked about the leadership. I appreciate a business being run like a business. I think a lot of times we've talked about this CrossFit gyms you can walk into and they can feel like a clubhouse where it's just a free for all or everybody's kind of doing their own thing. It's a little bit like what you said, but I from a management standpoint and it adds to the flow, the positive flow. I know that starting standards and how things work, and when you come into the gym, this is what you do. You're expected to do this, you're expected to do that, without sounding like it's rules based. It helps the day move along smoothly. And when the day is moving along really smoothly and members are attentive at the board, and so the coach doesn't have to explain things 10 times, or if everybody's in their designated areas, I think members can feel that because the coach is not stressed out trying to herd cattle, and there's just a really nice flow, and everybody, it's just being a teacher, kids boundaries and expectations.
Yeah.
And so when you set those and your members no, they don't have to guess where they should be, what they should be doing, they just know. And I think having that kind of system or systems in place does provide a really nice vibe to a gym.
Yeah. I'm gonna add one thing into what Ian and Mick, you guys said. You can tell when ownership or the direction of the gym is not progressive. And all I mean by that is, if I don't wake up every day thinking about what's the next thing we can do or the next step we can take collectively, as a business, to grow or be better for our members, etc., that's a palpable feeling. And I think, like Mick said, it does trickle down. And so I've seen this where gyms will start and everything's good in the beginning. It's always good. I think anyone who opens a gym does it as a pet project. They're not doing it to make $1 million. It's literally out of a labor of love type thing. And then once they realize that it's still a business and it's more than a hobby, you either kind of get to a membership point where you rest on your laurels and shit starts falling through the cracks and you're a little lazy. And there's theories on this. There's the 80 member problem, which is usually where you're at break even. And that's kind of where, you stop being ambitious about stuff, I guess. And there's the 150 member problem where you literally don't know people's names because there's too many people coming in and out. And so that can also create issues too. So I think about that stuff all the time. I just think about, not a day goes by where I'm we're set. You know what I mean? And so if I think we're set, what are the coaches gonna think? When they talk to me, they don't get a sense of and I don't expect them to have a business mind towards the gym. They're trying to progress as athletes. They're trying to progress as coaches. But, and correct me if I'm wrong, I just think that you vibe and connect with people through, they can sense your energy is whatever, ambitious. I don't know the right word to describe that, but yeah, there is a definite a palpable effect when leadership is not really just kind of chilling, I guess.
I think it shows the motivation from the top down, which then filters through with what we talked about at the very beginning about motivation of a group class setting, motivation of working out next to your coaches. Oh, the owners are actively looking for X, Y, and Z. That's motivating for coaches, for members, or around.
Right. Well, there's a guy who runs a podcast, a show called What the Fuck Gym Talk, Stu Brower, if you guys know Stu Brower. So he's popular for hot takes on micro gym. He does micro gym help. That's his specialty. And I remember seeing him in a seminar and he was talking about if you ask a gym owner, well, what does your gym offer that other gyms don't have? And they go, well, we have great coaching, great programming. And this is not to knock what you guys said about what separates the gym. Those are separators, but it's also okay, and it's a restaurant saying, hey, we give you your food hot and we wait on your table and the servers are nice. And you're the expectation. So then what outside of that? But I really do think that coaches delivering things and being on the same page, it does that means everything, because you can have great programming and great individual coaching, but then if there's not like a collectiveness to it, it's just kind of, people can sense that, I guess. Yeah,
Totally.
it's weird. It's not like a black and white answer. It's yeah.
Well, I mean, like what you were saying, I think for me, as somebody that was like a member for a really long time, like I saw that too. Like, and it was really nice for me to see people that, I mean, I think in anything that you do, seeing people that are not satisfied with what they're doing and wanting to do more and seeing a hunger, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's always more that you could be doing. And I think seeing that in a place that you spend a lot of your time and invest a lot of yourself and your money, I think that like really leads to a good gym culture, and you know, it leads you to expansion, right? So when you're trying to expand your brand or expand your gym, those are things that you try to like continue
Sure.
to build, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So when you guys think about coaching, athlete, leader,
Teacher.
yeah, sorry,
What?
we're just gonna like, I'll cut that.
Oh, sure.
Why
Yeah.
don't we,
Well,
we're at like an hour about.
yeah, hang on. So
Sounds like a good spot.
here's what I was gonna say. Like, if we don't wanna, cause I was looking at the lineup
Yeah.
on this, and if we wanna stick with the, have first part be, oh, why am I doing that? Have the first part be like about the gym stuff and coaching, right? Like, we can talk about a couple of these questions that are like towards the end, real quick, to like kind of wrap up this part one. Stuff like, the next episode could be more about like motivating clients and relationships and stuff like that.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
so you want to
being-
go to 6?
So like if we started with like being a coach, and then we worked through all of the like motivating clients, what you wish you could tell people, the business of relationships, but yeah, if we went to the strength community, right?
Strength and community.
Yeah, sorry, mine looks a little different than yours.
Okay, so you want to skip to like halfway through 6
Mhm.
and not do all of 6? Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
Can I see that really quick?
Sure.
Mine just looks a little different.
Yeah,
Can someone read 6 to me, because I don't have the numbers on
it's just the last blurb.
that? Okay,
Yeah, last like caps letters with the bullets underneath. That's 6.
Yeah.
okay. Can you read me the topic of the?
Oh,
Business
yeah.
of relationships
Oh, gotcha.
behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, because I think it would be a nice segue. Like, we're talking about the gyms, and
Yeah.
then instead of going into like client stuff and motivating,
Yeah,
I think it would be better if we went into like, if we just end it with
Yeah.
number 6, where we're talking about like, what is group fitness going to get people in shape, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like the whole number 6
And
thing.
it's like
You
a
wanna go-
natural progression.
yeah.
into
You want to go
client
through all of
motivation
number
stuff.
6 though?
I think we should.
Okay.
I mean, we can cut stuff out. But
Yeah,
I
the
think we
only
should-
reason I asked that is because the first couple bullet points of number 6 are, oh, well, no, sorry, just the first point is more helping people reach their goals and shit. But you know what? Okay, maybe we do the last 3 points in number 6, and then that first point is kind of a nice segue to the next motivational stuff. Do you guys get what I'm saying? It's
So-
more in like the
Yeah.
performance aspect.
Which one are you pointing to?
So the part
Oh,
is
wow.
group fitness alone going to help everyone reach their goals. Like we
Right.
could say, and you guys, so
On the
on
part
the next
2.
one we'll talk about, and then we can open with the first bullet point of
Yeah. I think
number
that's a good
6.
idea.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. So the first bullet point, so instead of starting with, we'll go back into, do you want to do the relationship thing, like blurred lines?
So yeah. The next thing that we'll say to close this episode out
Or
is the blurred lines part.
You don't want to do strength community, or did we kind of already talk about that?
That's after the blurred lines part.
He's
It's
saying
like all
bullets-
the same.
He's saying bullets 2, 3, and 4 to
Yeah.
end this one, and then with like
We'll
a lead
open
in
with 1
Yeah.
on the next one.
is the next one.
So we'll go
I got you.
blurred lines,
Thanks,
strength
Steve.
community, and then business. Do you agree with the phase we're in?
Why does yours look so different?
This might be the
Because I have a different one. But
What do you mean? What? I thought you-
that's my own.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't have the questions like you guys,
Okay.
so I'm gonna.
Well, as long as Ian and I are on the same page,
It's like-
that's really,
I
yeah.
was like, my guy, you're making perfect sense. It's like there's 4 bullets. We're gonna go 2, 3, 4.
Nope, so the last 3.
I was like, I only have 2 bullets. So I'm like, no, but we're gonna do 2, 3, 4.
Sans bullet 1.
She's like, what the fuck? I only got half a bullet
Oh,
now. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
these were
Wait,
the
can I ask
original
you something
ones.
while we're gonna cut this out?
Yeah.
When I
Anyway,
was talking
no, we're gonna
about this
actually
last
put this
part,
in.
you went like big eyes like this.
Oh, yeah. I was really into what you were saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were
Positive feedback.
No, I was just
That's
like.
body
oh.
language, Mick. Don't
Yeah.
be a youth.
Well, it was
Read
just like everything that I've learned since you guys have taken over, and I know that is the, like,
Oh,
a
you
point
talking-
to- and I thought you were trying to be like, you bitch.
No.
What?
I made a self-deprecating joke like you were talking about leadership, and I was like, shout out to Nick and Stacia, and then you're like, oh, the trio, and I was like,
Well, I thought you were just being, because like you are obviously part of the
I know,
Trinity.
it was a joke. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that you.
No, I was not like, oh, why'd you fucking say that? Yeah, no.
Should have a hand signal. It's a joke, Mick.
Yeah, what do you do for a joke?
Yeah.
Just a J.
J in sign language is this.
Flip it the other way.
Oh.
Other hand.
Do I
Oh,
do this?
sorry.
Yeah, there you
Oh.
go.
Yep.
Yeah, see?
You know what I can say in sign language?
Do you know what I can say in sign language?
Bullshit.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Oh wait. I can also say that
Wow.
my favorite breakfast food is French toast.
Oh, yummy.
Oh, in sign language.
Yes.
I thought you meant you could just say that. I was like, neat, Mick.
Cool talent. Yeah.
Hot take. I don't
All
really
right.
like French toast.
So we're gonna go
Whoa, okay.
blurred
That's
lines.
interesting.
What is your take on the strength and community mindset, micro gym thing?
Not talk about Lindsay's criticism.
And then in terms of business, do you agree with the phase? We are in the business, putting competition out of business.
So
Okay.
Robin Thicke.
Yes. Now,
And then
I
I'll say,
think.
so we're gonna wrap up this part of the podcast for part one. We're gonna come back talking more about like our client relationships and different things that motivate us and our clients in the gym.
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Great.
Cool.
I think segueing into the blurred lines part will be,
Guys,
important. Let's be real.
it gets a little hairy. What?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever.
Wait.
What do you-
Okay. I didn't really get the hairy thing, but we'll talk.
She was talking about like someone's private.
No,
parts.
it wasn't. I used the word hairy to describe when situations get like messy.
Okay.
No.
Sure.
Okay, here we go. All right, so another question is along the lines of you have these group fitness classes, they become communities. CrossFit is like known for like, oh, we have a great community. But I think that makes it really easy for those lines to get blurred and like relationships form, cliques form, alliances form, and there can be some hot drama in the micro gym space. So I guess like, have you guys ever seen that happen, been a part of that? Like, how do you work through that and make sure that your gym stays like a harmonious place?
Next question. I'm
Says
just
the
kidding.
owner.
I'm just kidding. I'll let you guys talk.
Yeah, I think something that I've struggled with, and then now you were talking about boundaries before,
Mhm.
and how CrossFit has allowed you to put up better boundaries. I think something that I've learned over the past couple of years is it is impossible to be someone's training partner and coach and best friend, and we're gonna carpool here. It just doesn't work, unfortunately. Maybe it's a personal, maybe there's some cases out there where it does, but you cannot be all of those things because those things are conflicting. When I'm coaching you, I'm not always your friend. I'm gonna tell you things that you don't wanna hear. I'm gonna tell you that your knees are caving in, you look like you're about to piss your pants.
Oh.
I have said that to a client before, but it's not always, I would be a bad coach if I just kept it like, oh my God, great job, yeah, you go, BFF. You can't do it. And then I would also be a crappy training partner if I was like, good job, girl, because I want to beat you in a training or competition situation. So I think learning how to draw those lines, you can have a great training partner, they might not be your best friend. You could have a best friend and maybe they're not your training partner, but that's something that I have learned to grow. Even if that person is someone who you really want to be friends with, you really do have to set the line because it just becomes hairy.
Yep.
So I worked out with Mike this morning. I didn't look at him or talk to him once. It was kind of like a dream scenario.
I was gonna say that.
It was pretty great.
Best
Yeah.
scenario ever. That's when you know you're tight with somebody, is when you don't have to talk all the time,
Yeah.
right?
We even handed off equipment to each other. We still
Yeah.
never made eye
I
contact.
was gonna say, you
Yeah,
should
we
share
all
the
saw
machine.
it.
Yeah.
Hand on hand. It was successful.
We
Yeah.
saw you guys
Yeah.
hand over the barbell.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
tried like 4 different things.
Yeah.
It's efficiency.
Yeah, sure.
It was a heavy barbell.
Well, I'm gonna jump in with this on Mick because I have like a similar thing, and maybe Ian, you'll have a different one. But yeah, I think when people think of CrossFit, they think, oh, this is like my community, this is my safe space, this is my happy place. That's amazing, and that's wonderful to be able to like have a place that you feel comfortable and confident, and that you have like a group of people that you're excited to go see. But I think it is important to like just like embrace it for that. You know, like you said, your gym mates don't have to be like the people that you do things on the weekend with, or they don't have to be the person that you're calling for every little thing. Like, I get a lot of, you know, fulfillment out of the relationships I have at the gym that, yeah, maybe we don't hang out on the weekends,